This morning, when I heard from one of the authors of Beyond Limitless that in Holland they are celebrating the end of the Second World War, I suddenly remembered what happened to me when I was 4 years old. When I was 4 years old, we were still in the cave to be sheltered from the bombs of the war, and suddenly the bunker, the cave was opened and we could go outside, and they said, the war is over, the war is over. And there were tanks with American soldiers, and the American soldiers dropped things for us, for the kids. And my brother, who was older, he said, you cannot take it, they are our enemies. I didn't understand that, but I remember the situation that people were happy, but it was all so confusing. And it was good that we finally could leave the bunker. And about this and later on what happened in my life, I also wrote in the book, in the chapter I have written about Beyond Limitless. And I will read a little bit about that time, because in Europe it is the 5th of May. Here it's the 6th, but the 5th of May, the end of the war. I entered this world in Cologne, Germany, 3 months after the start of the Second World War. When I was 1 year old, our house was half destroyed in a bombing raid. My family was educated to a poor farming village in East Germany. Because of limited space, I was separated from my family and lived with a 16-year-old mommy and nanny, very alone. 2 years later, our family was relocated to a safe house. After 8 weeks of peaceful respite, we were forced to leave. Now homeless and desperate, my mother fortunately found 3 rooms with a shared kitchen for a large family, 7 kids and her. This was in the mountains in the Harz near Hanover. Fear and privation were our constant companions. Whenever the air raid sirens began to howl, I was asked to go outside to see if the bombers were flying towards us. If they were, we had to hide in the cellar. I remember trembling whenever I heard the siren. I could feel the terror from my mother as she hid us in the cold, dark and wet room as the bombs exploded nearby. Due to the severe lack of food, we would scour the forests for mushrooms, berries, pine cones and branches for the firewood because it was cold. During these forays into the woods, I met the fairies, the trolls, and other mystical creatures of the forest. It was a world full of magic, exciting and wonderful, in a time of terror and deprivation. For the first time in my life, I became aware that there was more for living than suffering and fear. There was this one little fairy who kept taunting me with the phrase, I am me, who are you? And this question was going with me through my whole life. And this question helped me until I discovered access consciousness. And in access consciousness, I was able to more discover me and to more live the life I really want to live, without judgment, without hate, without fighting, and without destroying and putting down other people. This is my story, or part of the story, which I have written in the book of Beyond Limitless. Okay, and now I have to click a button to save it. End. Okay, goodbye. Thank you if you listen to me. What? End.